Hello, supporters of innovation. I would like to thank you for joining us today. I hear that many of you are hiding in the shadows. I would like to welcome you to come also to the middle so that I can see you and also interact with you. I hope that we will have an interactive event tonight. Today's topic is venturing in Southeast Europe in sustainable startups, powered by Sofiyska, Voda and Veolia. I believe that we have gathered all here like-minded people, feeling the urge to accelerate green innovation, to be able to mitigate the effects of climate change and promote the sustainable use of resources, to create new economic opportunities, lead our communities to healthier living and also well-being. We need to innovate urgently. And we need to do that on a large scale. To achieve that, we need not only a long-term vision, a proper legal framework, but a strong cooperation between the different players on the market. Corporates, startups, and also visionary investors. This is why today we have gathered corporate innovation leaders, venture capitalists, institutional representatives, cleantech and Greentech founders, to discuss how corporate innovation and venture capital can combine their powers and drive the growth of sustainable innovation across Southeast Europe. In the next couple of hours, we have prepared for you some inspiring keynote speeches, insightful panel discussions, but also startup pitches. Young founders who have dared their way into entrepreneurship in order to make a world a better place. And of course, we have saved some time for networking, for exchange. We hope that we will give you some food for thought so that you also have in-depth conversations apart from the usual selling pitches and how do you do. My name is Irina Obushtarova. I'm co-founder of the Recursive, the media that is reporting on the innovation ecosystems in our region, in Southeast Europe. And I will have the pleasure to guide you through today's event. And without further ado, I would like to invite the panelists of our first discussion, which will be on the topic of how actually startups benefit from working with corporates. As you know, this collaboration can be challenging because there is a culture clash. And tonight, I would like first to invite Francois Debergh, the country director of Veolia for Bulgaria and Greece, chairman of the board of directors of Sofiyska Voda, and as well the executive director of the company. He joined the company already in 1997 and has over 20 years of experience in Central and Eastern Europe. Please, Francois. His areas of expertise include the design and operations of environmental services, innovative and sustainable models, energy efficiency, and circular economy. Please give him your applause. I would like to invite also Miroslav Gechev, who is currently the IoT director of Telelink Business Services, but before that, he co-founded and led Develiot, a corporate spin-off from the Telelink Group, the company which developed an end-to-end air quality monitoring system and was established as a separate venture, but later on merged with Telelink Business Services. Miroslav is an experienced entrepreneur, but also intrapreneur. With technical and business background, he brings a Master's of Science in Telecommunications and Engineering from the Aalborg University in Denmark, but also an MBA from the Contrugli Business School. Welcome, Miro. Our third panelist is Kaloyan Georgiev. I don't see you. Please join us on stage. Who is an expert in digitization, IoT, automation, energy management at Schneider Electric, and executive board member of PARA. Kaloyan is the head of tendering for the company for 6 markets in the region. He has a bachelor's degree in automatics, information, control technology, and robotics, and a master's degree in control systems from the Technical University in Sofia. Kaloyan, nice to have you here. Last but not least, I would like to invite our guest from Poland, Katarzyna Schola, who is the Director of Innovation at Veolia Poland. She has over 10 years of experience in innovation and R&D, working with corporations, small and mid-sized enterprises, NGOs, startups, technological universities to create synergies, obviously, between them. Currently, she is responsible for building the innovation management process, innovation culture, and cooperation within open innovation. Katarzyna is also a mentor for startups, especially in the field of business development, strategy, and funding. So, in this complicated relationship between startups, my first question goes straight to the core. There are many benefits, obviously, from startups cooperating with established companies. There are many opportunities as well. Corporations provide also access to experts, to markets, but I would like to ask you, which are the essentials to kick off such a cooperation that will not fail over time? I will give the word to Katarzyna maybe first.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. So there are differences when it comes to the approach, but I would say that it depends on the company. So we have to take into consideration what we as a corporation actually need. So we have to know what we are looking for, and we have to be willing to test and validate, to cooperate with the company, with the startup on the solution, but also having a partner on the other side who is willing to adopt change, because sometimes we experience meetings with startups that are really convinced that they have an amazing idea, but at the end it is not adopted to our business, to our infrastructure. So if they are open to develop it with us, it is definitely something that helps. And both sides need to know that there is time that is required to work together. So we have to work on the solution. It is not going to happen magically, because we have to adopt from both sides. That would what I would say from my side.
Mm-hmm. Miro, you know both sides as well. Can you share what you have learned over the years?
Yeah, I think that one of the main things that I've seen in my experience is that to have a successful partnership between a big company, a corporate, and a startup, there needs to be some kind of a maturity that, this is a relationship between a big and a small company. And they come at very different stages in their development. The corporate, it starts in a defensive position. It has to defend markets, defend budgets, defend customers. And for a startup, they're in an attacking position. They want to get everything. And usually that's the reason why startups think of corporates that they're very rigid, very bureaucratic, very slow. And the corporate thinks the startup is very inexperienced and very naive and maybe very impatient. And I think good partnerships happens when these two understand the differences and manage to work through them. Because if you don't manage to work together and merge these two, take some steps towards each other, it won't work. I think this is one of the very, very basic and important things for a startup and corporate to work together.
Francois?
Well, I'm not so a seasoned innovator than my fellow colleagues before, but I might say somehow that what is crucial, because you have mentioned a lot of essentials, is that we feel that there will be a capacity of adaptation on both sides of the partnership, because each and any project goes with its own path. There are high ups, there are moments where it's a bit difficult, there are moments where we need to take fast decision, and from time to time you have to change the strategy. So the capacity of adaptation, to be agile, to be able to change the way is for me crucial. It's an essential. And obviously I will speak maybe a bit more from a Veolia perspective. It is essential for us that we feel the project will be impactful for our stakeholders, so something that can contribute to our purpose, which is ecological transformation, and that it really addresses concrete needs, future ones or current ones, to solve this issue. So it's crucial, and obviously we need to feel that it can be scalable with, resource-efficient approach.
Scalability is always one of the questions in this collaboration. Kaloyan, you know both worlds very well.
Yes, thank you. I can relate to whatever everybody said because this is the reality. In a corporation like Schneider Electric, we actually succeeded to merge both worlds. The things that we do is to give, actually in the beginning when we cooperated before with the startup, we tried what Miro said more or less, to lead the path, like we are the master and we are leading. Didn't happen very good because many of the companies cannot catch up, or we don't have the same vision and so on. So in the years, finally 2018, we founded SE Ventures, which is California-based venture capital, but it is operating globally. So by this capital, we are financing now and leading a lot of startups globally. With this, the project we take is to first to assess the startups who apply, and then we create the team, including internal team from the corporate. And then during the operation, we are actually opening the database, I would say, of all our customers and partners to the startup. So one of the guys that we worked with, actually he said this is not acceleration, this is a teleport, because actually they don't go fast through the path, they just appear in a place with already established customer base. So this is how we skip a little bit of development, and we help a lot by the internal teams working with the startups.
If you have to do kind of like a reverse pitching, why should startups work with corporates from your perspective? What are the benefits that startup founders should consider when they look for a collaboration with a corporate? I feel Katarzyna already.
I can start.
Prepared.
We are talking about this a lot, so because I firmly believe when it comes to our ecosystem that we have to do our homework, and the startup has to do its homework as well. So when it comes to us, we put it straightforward that we would like to validate the technology, the solution. So we first gather the information, and then we provide the information how we can cooperate together. So at the very beginning, we are signing the agreement when it comes to non-competitive law and everything to secure both sides. And also, we enter with startups in commercial cooperation when it comes to pilot stages, because as we were discussing that this is a totally different organism, totally different company when it comes to size, when it comes to operation. So we put it straightforward when it comes to the financial side as well. And we are organizing ourselves within a process for working with the startup step by step, verifying it via very concrete criteria that they know very upfront. And we are gathering also the external partners as the operators for the acceleration programs. And they are also supporting the both sides. So the startups not only gather the funding, the verification of the testing, but also the mentorship when it comes to, okay, how they need to adapt, how they need to address their technology solution to the very partner that they are working with. So the educational part, verification of technology, and financing.
You mentioned external partners. What kind of organizations are these?
When it comes to Polish ecosystem, we have this possibility to gather external funding for the acceleration programs from the European Union, and it is organized by the three-party. There is an operator as an external party, there is a technology receiver as us, when it comes to Veolia, and the startup. So whenever we are putting the challenges that we are looking for, the solution that we are looking for within those challenges, whenever we have the startup that we would like to cooperate with them, there is an opportunity to gather funding from the operator, and they are also channeling this cooperation within us. So it is also very interesting when it comes to Polish ecosystem for us.
Mm-hmm. Francois, how does it look in Bulgaria now?
Well, if I would have the courage to be a startupper in Bulgaria, I guess that what I would look for in this cooperation with this well-established company or international groups is definitely to find a good environment and a good frame to make a real test of my project, to see if it's really fit for the markets, but also to find some resources or capabilities that I could not gather in my team, my own team, or have access to. And I guess that's coming to also to Veolia, and that's one point. I guess that if I would be in such a position to try to develop a project, I would try to also to think to the second step, which is how I could develop it further, not only commercially, but also on the innovation part. Because usually startups start with an idea and then going on developing it. We can find some new ideas, new use of that project, initial one. And this is where I guess well-established companies that can have a regional or even better a global footprint would be also something I would consider very interesting as an opportunity.
So, looking for ambitious founders with a global vision. Miro, I was thinking, do you think that having a corporate background as a startup founder yourself helps in managing these relationships with corporations?
I think it does, especially if you want to do a cooperation like this, because you've seen how the things are on the inside. And I'm currently part of a corporation. I'm currently working with startups, and I see that sometimes, you need to understand that sometimes startups are not going to be as bureaucratic as your legal department wants it to be. And if I understand that, I can go and talk to these guys and, go to a mutually acceptable solution, how we can work together. Because if I didn't have that, I'm just going to say, okay, it's against our policy, we're not going to make it. And I think having this background makes it easy in both ends. If I'm a startup, I'm going to understand why these guys are so pushy on legal, on specific clauses, on stuff like this. I won't think that it's rigid or stupid, and I'll try to work with that and over that. So it definitely helps. They have a saying that psychologists, psychiatrists cannot be mad at anyone because they understand what these guys are going through. It's the same thing, I think.
Okay, I'm not sure that mad is the right word here, but I get your point. Francois, can you also give maybe some examples of what you have done so far? There are some startup founders here also in the audience. I know that you're very proud of them. Maybe you can shed a bit light of how did the projects look like?
So let's say we are still kind of beginners in that journey with innovation in our organization, but I would say that in the last 2 years when we started, since then we have managed to enter in a few collaborations with startups. Who are really impactful in terms of what is very core to us, circular economy, energy efficiency, and so on. I would first name Sageo, which is a company that we have nested in Sofiyska voda. Let's say in a nutshell, their project is to make water leakage satellite detection, which at the beginning was looking to us a bit futuristic, but okay, let's try it. And here again, it's a matter of adaptation. So we welcome them in the organization, create common teams, and the results are amazing because we can say that so far, after several months of collaboration, we have found leakage we were not able to find, and we are saving on an annual basis 1.5 million cubic meter of water resources, which is massive.
Wow.
I would like to name as well Green Matrix, which is a startup which helps us to make a more energy efficient use of our pumping station. Here again, it's a matter of being adaptive to them, because we were thinking, we know a lot already in that, but they brought us to the next step. And it's important as well, they are impactful, because as you might know, Sofiyska voda wants to be energy neutral within 2 years. And energy neutrality is not only produce much more green energy, it's also reducing your consumption. And they help us to meet both ends. And the last example I might mention is a very interesting project. It's our collaboration with Sensato. So they have installed some smart eaves on our premises. And it's a very nice project, because with this smart eave, not only obviously we protect biodiversity and the bees, which is an essential element of our environment, but we also aim to raise the awareness on what is the protection of biodiversity and on how important it is. And I would say last but not least, we were able to promote very good Bulgarian honey in Veolia, because we have our small honey jam pot. So that's very nice. And I guess that for Veolia, because we are on this battlefield of the ecological transformation, innovation is just not an option. So we need to do it, and I guess that with all the examples we have, we do see that local developments, bottom up, with open innovation, with all our local stakeholders, give really impactful and great results, and it really helps us to grow and to develop.
These are some actually great examples, and I also value the fact that you gave us some real numbers. Obviously, the collaboration is effective. It's not only fancy words. Kaloyan, my next question would be to you. So you're part of PARA, and you have how many startup companies who are members in PARA, or maybe small and middle-sized companies, members of PARA?
Currently about 60, I would say, is good number, estimated. So this is total members of the association, but some of them are like big companies like Schneider, Festu, Fanuk, and so on. So it is others are like pretty small, and the things that we do in PARA actually to connect the companies and to take the best possible outcome of the collaboration. The last years we were focused on mostly education, from like schools to universities. And this year and the next few years we'll be moving a little bit the focus, keeping also the things that we already did with universities, and also adding business relations and added value to the business out of the organization.
That would have been my question. So would you say that, you know, being part of an association that has like a common vision of what we would like to develop in robotics and in this field in Bulgaria helps facilitate these business relations between the established companies, the corporates, and the startups? Do they meet somewhere, or do you feel like they don't speak the same language?
Sometimes I agree here again with Miro that said that the startups not only they don't have, but they don't want, and I would say hate all the legal bullshit, I would say, for which is present in the corporates. But still, it is a needed pain, I would say. When they grow, they will face the same issues. So now it's a good playground to see how it looks, to work on a common project with a bigger company, or vice versa, the big company to spot some good idea and to help it grow, as we saw also the successful examples. So the things that we do additionally to this is to make this, it's called incubator, so robotics incubator. So we are taking good ideas from students and even established entrepreneurs, and we are leveraging them, making a team of mentors and sponsoring them with time and trainings. After maybe 9 months, last year we had this success. Out of 27 total projects, we had 11 finalists. Out of them, 3 were rewarded with, actually some of them with several 100,000 euros as an investment. This year we just started this incubator again. So If it's a company inside or student, university or established company, we have this mixture and we can work all directions. So this is the thing that is good, I think, that is keeping me motivated in the situation of robotics. That not only we can mentor with our experience, but we also are very close to the core of innovation, and sometimes the corporations are very slow. So we are taking this, we know it, and we are using smaller companies to help the whole ecosystem grow together, so not to compete. This is the main idea of Black.
I think especially in the field of sustainability, collaboration is actually a must because we have a big challenge to face. In this sense, I think that in the audience we might have also some corporations, and I wanted to ask Katarzyna maybe to share about the secret sauce of establishing an effective corporate innovation management within a corporation that wants to come closer to innovation, and what does it entail?
I think that when it comes to innovation in general, it is not as like I treat innovation as not as a separate department only. It is a state of mind of a corporation and also of the different organization. It has to be everywhere. So people should be open to new things, to optimization. And in order to do it, we have to focus not only on the outside world, but also on the inside. So we did a lot of work when it comes to Veolia Poland, to train our people, but also to make it closer for them to understand startups. You've mentioned that it helped you to understand this, this corporation, and it is a totally different world. So if somebody is working in a corporation only, it will be really hard to get into this field and to understand everything what is happening. So this is the key. And what we did inside our group was we initiated the, I call it architecture for innovation. So within that, we have different crowdsourcing platforms, we've trained people, we have the process for innovation management, and also we have the management of innovative projects. So we know that this kind of projects has to be done differently. They have to enter a totally different field, totally different path than the normal project that are into PMO, the project management office. And it was really important for us to have this process initiated, because usually when you're entering into the technological project, you're thinking about everything from the very beginning, like in a waterfall way. So from the very beginning, it takes a lot of time. So we created a process that is a fast track for us. So the easy way to enter, easy way to the gate to verify the technology, to verify the solution, because it is not always the technology itself, to verify it and to have this opportunity to test it. And then to have different criteria adopted to what we actually need in order to get it to a different level, to commercialize and to make it scalable when it comes to our business. So it was crucial for us to be part of it, but we also are present in the external world. So being part of different ecosystems that are gathering corporates, but also gathering different startups. And in Poland, we have different operators that are creating this ecosystem, and we are gathering with them. Whenever we have a challenge, we are also pitching it, like having reverse pitching to them. Mm-hmm. So explaining what we are actually looking for, sharing this information, and then entering into the contact with companies that are the most suitable to the solution that we need. So, or the most adaptive, because sometimes it is also the path of operation of the startups. So sometimes they can actually adopt faster than the others. So this is what we are taking into consideration.
I wonder still, because you mentioned that it is not just a department, it's actually a question of mindset. And from experience, I know that changing a mindset is the hardest thing probably in the world. Are there any tricks or any tips that you can give of how to do that as a culture, on a cultural level in a corporation?
I can share one thing that I have in the previous experiences, because I've been working and designing different kind of acceleration programs. And when I was entering the room of hard business companies that didn't have the innovation department, and they were like looking at me like, I have 20 years of, and they were saying, I have 20 years of experience in this field. What are you going to tell me? Like, what do you have? And it was really hard at the very beginning. But when we told them that, okay, what challenges do you have? And bringing the solutions that were really adopted to what they were looking for, then they were the first fan of us. Like, on the next meeting, they were like, oh, what do you have right now? So it changes whenever you're presenting that actually the startup solution or the solution you create is helping people that are interested in this. So showing what can be done, and it opens people's minds when it comes to different solutions, and even motivates them and inspire them to create by themselves. But also what is really important, people from the internal world, from the inside of organization, they know the organization the best. So also focusing not only on the external world and searching for those ideas from the outside, but also creating, that's why we've created this crowdsourcing platform, like gathering the ideas from people inside of Veolia. They have many ideas. We've did a lot of things when it comes to small to bigger projects, and seeing that your idea actually works and it is being implemented is the best reward to everybody. I've been in the same field, so that's why I'm actually talking about this in this way. But it is really important to show to people that it works. It simply can have results, and it's more than just words.
It sounds like igniting a spark, you know. Miro, in your role, you have spinned off the corporation. Then, business-wise, it made more sense to merge again with the corporation. And I wonder, in your role right now, you had your team, which was very startup-y and very entrepreneurial when you spinned off. Do you feel like you're now igniting the spirit of being more innovative, being more entrepreneurial, changing the mindset in the corporation? Do you feel like you're agents of change?
That's a good question. You know, I knew Telelink from my previous life, and it was a challenge to integrate back, because we were very, you know, we were in a way thinking this company as our own. We were very fast. We had processes, but they were not very, you know, rigid, and we were very fast in doing things. And at some point, we were in a company that something that took us one day took 1 week, 2 weeks. It's, you know, it had an impact on the morale of the team. And the other challenge back then was that when we came back, the company expected us to align completely with it. And I think what we managed to achieve in this, I know, 1, 2, 3 months is that if there's going to be a successful integration, we have to align to each other. I mean, we cannot completely align with the Telelink's processes and internal ideas of how business needs to be done. And I think that at the 3rd, 4th month, they understood it, and actually it stopped being you and us, or these guys and us. We became one team. But at the moment that at some point, someone with formal power just said, hey guys, we need to integrate. You cannot tell them how it's going to be done. You need to listen and find a way to work together. So it's a process, and at some point, these guys realize that they have huge experience, like 20 years, for example, but still they have a lot to learn, and the integration can happen. I mean, at some point you're a stalemate, and either you're going to break it, or you have to find a way to work together. So we found a way to work together.
I think in today's dynamic world, we all need to adopt this beginners and learners mindset. I mean, it's never finished. Even after 20 years we've been doing something, there is still so much we need to learn. My last question would be very short. I would like us maybe to challenge a bit those who are listening to us, or maybe inspire them. Which of today's challenges would you like to see solved by a startup in Central and Eastern Europe?
Well, I guess I will not be very original.
It doesn't have to be.
From Veolia, but I guess there is still a lot to do in the decarbonization. So it is I guess a domain where there are a lot of existing things, but I guess there are so many little things which have not been done yet that would enable to start. Because from time to time the project could look too complicated from a social perspective, from an investment perspective. And I guess, and we had also the example with few startups that we have made, that there could be some smaller initiative but easily scalable that could bring very easily some effects. So yes, I think that for Bulgaria, that's something I would like to see more, and I'm expecting.
Good. Miro?
For me, I think it's water stress. I mean, when we started Develiot, one of the main products we wanted to have back then, we actually managed to achieve it, is solutions that are decreasing the water loss. And it was inspired by this, that according to many researches, reports, water stress is going to be something that is going to impact us in the next 5 years. And water stress means that we won't have enough, we will have less water than we actually need. And maybe many people don't know that Bulgaria is one of the countries that is like in the south part, where the country is going to expected to experience extremely high water stress in this decade. So it's, and there is no solution how to deal with it. There are many solutions, but not one solution that can fix it. And it would be great if we can develop a solution like this here, this part of the world, because we have huge problem here. And it's the people who can solve it can be from this part of the world.
I think whenever you have a problem, there is a market niche.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kaloyan?
I can say that even the statistics is backing up my sentence now. So as Schneider and as also as Association of Robotics and all the things that we do are actually focused towards energy efficiency, and even in Schneider we have a joint venture with a company providing energy as a service, energy efficiency as a service. And for me, this is like the urgent thing for Europe, mostly, you know, because of a lot of reasons. And additionally to this, maybe 60% of the startups that we fund are related to, I would say, climate technologies. And maybe 40% is with digitization of industry. So in this, like, I would say that the first one could be the energy crisis and energy efficiency, deficiency, storage, everything. So this is, for me, in Europe, the urgent thing, but we should not leave the rest behind.
Obviously, there is enough space for everyone. Okay. Katarzyna?
What I could add to what you've said, actually, like decarbonization for us is just like the key topic for this moment. So basically, whatever the solutions will be related to energy efficiency, but not only when it comes to the B2B sector, but also when it comes to the municipalities, when it comes to housing cooperatives. So different solutions related to this field. We have this opportunity in Veolia to work within those sectors, energy, water, waste, and multi-utility services. So there's a lot to be done. So having different solutions and implementing them would just help us to develop further. But definitely the decarbonization part is the key.
Thank you for these directions that our innovation community can maybe start thinking. Also for your honest insights and sharing your experience so far in this collaboration between startups and corporates. And I'm going to move to the next part of the day, which is thank you. I'm sorry. Please give applause to my panelists. Now I messed up. That wasn't a smooth transition, but now I'm going to try it again. I would like to have just a sign from our technical team if everything is okay. Okay. Our next speaker is Laura Drexler, who is project manager for innovation at Veolia, Germany. And I will give the floor to her for a keynote speech. Let's hear her out. Laura, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
We hear you as well. Yes, we hear you as well. The stage is yours.
Okay, then I will share my screen and show you my slides, I hope.
I will let you know if we see something. This is great. It's perfect. This time technology is not giving up on us. You're muted. You have to unmute yourself. Now.
It works now, doesn't it?
Yes, it works perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. We hear you and we see the slides.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. A big hello from Berlin, which you might see a bit in the background. It's such a pleasure to be with you, even though it's online. And yes, firstly, my name is Laura. I'm program manager from UStart, and UStart is a startup program we initiated actually already 7 years ago in Veolia, Germany. And yeah, it's the oldest and longest existing startup program which we have in Veolia. And yeah, I'm happy to tell you a bit more about our experience through the last 7 years of startup corporations. So to start, maybe to give you a bit of context or history, 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, we got a new CEO called Etienne Petit, and he was a huge innovation fan. He loved startups, so he absolutely wanted to create an innovation department. That's what he did. And his first goal of this innovation department was to create a startup program. So I was hired. I was hired, and he told me 3 objectives or 3 goals to have for this cooperation project. First of all, to bring external innovation faster into the company. Second was to create a one Veolia flagship project, because at that time, Veolia created this one Veolia thinking. So we have the 3 brown. And so he wanted one project where the 3 business units were unified. And last objective was actually to implement innovation culture into the company. So yeah, so these were our objectives, and yeah, it was interesting. In the end, you will see if we reached them or not. So what we did, we created UStart, and we focused actually more on long-term partnership or cooperation, and not like doing a normal VC approach, just investing in the startups and leaving them and let's see what happens. No, it's not at all what we wanted to do. So we created this cooperation project, and where we targeted startups in our 3 fields, like water, energy, and waste. Let's say that in Germany, energy and waste are far more important than water, so we actually focused more on energy and waste. But still, water was always a part of it. So yes, so we created this program, and we launched, I would say, two startup calls with different kind of subjects, energy efficiency or circular economy, every year. And now until now we did 11 startup calls. We had 20 cooperation projects running so far, and there are actually 3 or 4 in pipe right now. And we're still having 7 current startup projects ongoing. So yeah, I would say not too bad, but it's you to judge. So why or what do we actually do with them? So we propose them to do a pilot project with us, which we fund. And depending on the maturity level of the startup, we do prototyping with them, we give them access to our sales channels, but actually the most thing that startups are interested is money, and test their products on our sites. Those two things I would say were our key elements of the program. And yeah, it is quite interesting for the startups. And on top of that, we don't take equity, and I think that's a specialty of our program. So it's actually really favorable for cooperation with startups in this fields. So yes, here are like all our portfolio companies, but I think for you the most interesting is to hear a bit let's say more precise examples, and I have 3 for you. First, so is like Fluxus and Rosie, 2 startups of us, both in the circular economy or waste branch. We work with them since already 5 or 4 years, so it's actually since a quite long time. And Fluxus is a German startup, then they actually do PV panel recycling. They developed a technology where with a light impulse, the PV panels are able to separate the different layers of the PV panels can separate quite easily. So quite interesting, didn't exist before, and really innovative. And we were really amazed 5 years ago when we met them the first time. And Rosie, we met them a bit later. It's a French startup from Grenoble, and they do silicon recycling as well from PV panels, used PV panels. And what we actually did was we thought, so we were quite interested in the field of PV panel recycling because I'm sure you know that, but there's no solution or plant yet where you can 100% recycle the different materials of the PV panels. But what we actually do since 2 years is that we have started a project which is funded by the European Union. I think it's 2 or 3 million euros we actually get for this project, and where we actually built the first 100% recycling plant of PV panels with Fluxus and Rosie. So I would say it's of course it's thanks to you, Start. And it's quite interesting, but it's of course as well really early stage. So it's not something which so we are developing, we are co-developing it together. But of course it takes time. So it hasn't. So we haven't made money yet with that. Second example, totally different. It's more advanced, far more advanced. It's a French startup as well. It's called Cartesium. And they do a predictive maintenance sensor. It's like a vibration sensor, which you can put on things which vibrate. Like we put it on pumps in wastewater treatment plants, and they actually predict if the pump isn't working really well, and if we have to go and check it. And so it's more like efficiency. For us, like or performance, a tool, let's say like that. And so we used it in a few plants in Eastern Germany for our water business unit. And then, as we saw, so we helped them as well to develop the algorithm we made it better. You know, AI always needs a lot of data. And then we actually we helped them sell their device to Veolia France as well in the water branch. So that worked really well. And knowing that Cartesium was sold 1 year ago to ST Microelectronics, and I think we kind of helped them a bit to do so. Last example, and I don't want to talk too much about it, is ChargeX, where Veolia actually, or our PPP in Brunswick, acted more as a sales channel actually, where we created a white label model for EV charging. And yes, but you will hear about it more soon. So to finish this presentation, the why. So why does Veolia Germany do all that? And did it work? Are we satisfied? as I said in the beginning, we had those 3 goals, was like bringing this external innovation fast into the company. Second, Veolia flagship product, and third, foster internal innovation culture. So first, bringing external innovation fast into the company definitely worked, no doubt about it. That also includes, indirectly, making money. Depends on what making money for you means. So of course we increased our efficiency. Definitely we did money with that. We created some new offers, yes, but I wouldn't say that it brought us millions. But on the other hand, it's innovation. It always takes time, and you have to have a long breath, you say in Germany. So don't expect too fast big results. That's what I would say. Creator 1 Veolia flagship project definitely worked, no doubt about that. And last, and I think that's quite important, and I would say one of the most important things, like startup programs actually help a lot to foster internal innovation culture. When we started 7 years ago, nobody in our company heard startups or innovation. Like, that was totally new. And we did a lot of communication, a lot. And 2 years after, our own BUs, like this water, energy, and water, they all had their own innovation people or entrepreneurship programs. Everybody knew what a startup was and liked to work with startups because they saw a benefit. And yes, this is definitely value which you can't count, and that was, I would say, or is still, you can still feel, and it's really, really important. So key learning for me is definitely to know what you want. So do you want to focus more on internal innovation culture? Do you want to focus on earning money really, really fast? So then maybe start or cooperate more with more mature startups. That's easier. To get, let's say, yes, to get faster results. But in general, and that's definitely sure, is that working with startups is always really valuable, and there's always a huge benefit for the startup, but also for the corporate. Yeah, well, that's how I would like to end. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you heard me.
I don't know if you can hear, but you just had your applause.
No, I didn't hear that.
I assure you, we are very grateful for your presentation and also shedding some light of how you do that. What are the benefits for startups and corporates? It is definitely about a meaningful relationship that brings benefits to both sides, as we heard. Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to see you in Sofia, maybe sometime soon.
Yes, definitely. I would love to. I would definitely love to come to Sofia. And I'm sorry that I'm just seeing that you didn't see myself. Like, I was, I don't know. I'm sorry. Sorry for that.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Bye.
So we have discovered today a bit about the nits and bolts of collaborating between startups and corporates. You have heard some real-world practices of how to do that, how to design your program, or how to design the relationship. But even more exciting is actually to hear real-world examples of startups that have benefited from working with Sofiyska, Voda, and Veolia. I would like to present to you the startup founders who have done that. We have prepared some startup pitches, real-world examples, and the first one is going to be by Denis Ivanov, who is the founder of Vodoraslo. Are you here? Welcome on stage. Give him an applause. Pitching is hard, I assure you. It must be trained quite often to master it, and applause is always helping. So the stage is yours. You have also the clicker. Yes. it working. Perfect.
Thank you. Perfect. So, my name is Denis, and thanks for the invitation to present today the things that we are doing with our company, voda. But before I start, by raising your hand, can you please answer the following question? Do you have, or do you know that have respiratory problems in your family? By raising your hand. Around 50% of the audience, that's shocking. Well, every single year, worldwide, 7 million people die, according to poor air quality. And it's getting even worse when we go home, where we spend around 90% of our time. So, what we are doing? Well, we are using the nature in our device. We've created an algae panel that is purifying the air using natural process like photosynthesis, and it's absorbing carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and of course dust particles. It's transforming them into oxygen, and it's creating algae biomass, which is used for natural plant fertilizer. But a couple of words about the algae. What is algae? Well, it's an ancient organism that is living in the ocean, and it's 3.5 billion old. And it actually is giving us around 70% of the oxygen on Earth is coming from the ocean. So our job is to pick the best strain of algae, give it a shape, and then place it in your home. So behind the project is me. As I said, my name is Denis. I'm an architect. I graduated 2 days ago. Also, the other co-founder is Monica Dimitrova. She is an entrepreneur, environmentalist, and has a huge experience in, she's the business person. She's the business person. I'm more like a design and tech geek, and she is the design, she's the business guru. Also, in our, we are the core team, but also we are working with Professor Stoyanova and Professor Blagoyazonov from biology faculty of Sofia University, which they help us a lot with research and investigation according to strains of algae and experiments that we were doing with them to place in our project. So basically, what you get from us, we actually, it's the device, it's 40 per 40 centimeters panel, and depending on the bundle you choose, basically, you can have the panel, nutrients for a couple of months, and of course you can have an access to a closed group where you can share ideas and help each other with other people who have this sort of bioreactor with what you can do with the biomass, for example. You can use the biomass from the bioreactor for natural plant fertilizer, or we can give you an instruction how you can create your own biodegradable cup in home, or even your kit, how to make a biodegradable cup using algae. Well, officially our product will be in sale from spring 2023. It's our B2C device, as we like to call it, the small device. And we are open to work with more companies and create more complex solutions in B2B installations. You already have some interest in some of them, but we are open to do that in the autumn of the 2023. So, yeah, this is like a picture how basically it can look in your home. Well, about the competition and where we are placing in Bulgaria and Europe. In Bulgaria, there's at least what our research says, there is no other company in Bulgaria that is doing this sort of device, and we are the first one. In Europe and of course the rest of the world, there are a couple of companies. The German company is Sovaga. They have created a small, like a painting device. But our advantages is that, first of all, we are more silent compared to the traditional air purifiers in the market, because basically they filter the air through some sort of layers and they extract the same amount of air. But they're actually not pretty much working good with gases like, as I said, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, which are the harmful gases that are affecting your health. They're perfect, for example, for dust particles or pollen, but for real gas pollution, they are not very well. Also, we produce oxygen equal to 40 home plants, and of course, the price is pretty much competitive. About our roadmap, well, at this moment we are at Q1, and 2022 was quite successful for us. And we have developed our research tests and designed the prototype. At this moment we are developing the algae farm, which will power the device. We created this small mini farm, like an aquarium farm, and we are looking to finish the 2023 with starting of R&D project, like a long-term project for a different product, which is for different markets, but also based on algae, like plastics and textile based on algae. And of course, our goal and mission for the next year is to have a set of portfolio with similar air quality products. Well, thank you for your time, and I believe that together we can reduce the carbon emissions. Thank you for your time.
Dennis, this is great. Very ambitious roadmap. I wish you all the best for your future successes. You're going to stick around. I am sure that there will be people in the audience who would like to talk to you.
Thank you.
The next inspiring pitch will be given by Petr Petrov, who is the founder of Sensato. Please join us on stage. Maybe it's best you introduce yourselves. Yes, I didn't know that, but it's even better. The more, the merrier.
Just a little test. Yeah, it's working.
You can also test the clicker. Great.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us today. We are here to speak about bees. And I am Petr Petrov. I am the engineer behind the hardware solution of the project. And this is Petr.
I'm also Petr, and I'm an AI specialist developing the algorithms behind Hive Reader, which is our product. So as probably as you know, in the recent years, studies have shown that insect populations are decreasing in alarming rates. And we all know the importance of bees in agriculture and the environment. So we hope that our product and solution will help tackle the problem. Our mission is to develop a big-scale monitoring system for beehives, to bring artificial intelligence in the day-to-day work of professional beekeepers, to facilitate the formation of the next generation of beekeepers, and, of course, to raise environmental awareness. The problem we are facing is manifold. Oops. But we think that we have solution. For example, new beekeepers experience mentors and make avoidable mistakes which often lead to the loss of their hives. What we want to provide is the right advice considering the current state of the hive and the environment. Professional beekeepers are forced to make compromises in favor of optimization, What we want is to provide professionals with real-time monitoring and optimization system. And there is the high mortality rates indicating unhealthy natural habitats. We want to gather big-scale localized data which will help take informed decisions and understand the problem. Given the high mortality rates, what is observed is also that the number of beehives in Europe is increasing. And this is mostly due to European funding, and such beehives are managed most of the time by big-scale honey producers, which is not a bad thing, but the hives are located in confined regions, which leads to disease spreading and competition for nutrition among the hives. Oops. We want to avoid this by providing a monitoring system which will enable the beekeepers to spread their hives in larger regions. And at the end, where is funding, there is also corruption, and currently there is no way for the government to follow how the funding is being spread among different bee producers and how many hives each one of them has. So a digital database comprising up-to-date information about the beehives will help with transparency. To solve all these problems, we have developed Hive Reader. Okay, we are also still improving it. This is a real-time monitoring system via a thermal sensor frame. It's ready to use out of the box, so it fits all conventional beehives. You just have to plug it in. You don't have to install or change anything in your hive. It's power supply independent. It comes with its own solar panel. And what is more important, and this is really unique, is that it provides special information about the hive. So one can see the distribution of the bees within the hive without having to open and inspect it. And this information we need, this information is uploaded to a server and Hive Reader takes over. This is an AI algorithm trained to analyze the state of the beehive and react accordingly. It can detect the hive strength, and it provides well-being diagnostics. It can recognize critical state and has alert mechanism. And it can provide customized action hints and learning materials according to the hive state. Okay. It's really... Yeah. This is not working. Okay. So all the information is provided to the beekeeper via a mobile application, so that an informed decision can be taken before the inspection is done. So let's see the market where the product is to be placed.
Thank you, Peter, for this technical explanation. Our initial target market is the European market with approximately 600,000 beekeepers. Most of them are hobbyists with an average of 28 beehives per beekeeper. As we see in the graph there, the total number of hives in the European Union is increasing in the last 6-7 years. This is due to financing from the European Union. And actually for the last 4 years, the beekeepers in Europe were financed with 150 million euros. What is our business model? It is a subscription-based model. and we have three main groups of target customers. Professionals, actually I will start with the beginners and hobby beekeepers, and Hive Reader will help them establish sustainable beekeeping techniques. The professionals are the next group. Hive Reader will help them save time and delegate the job to less experienced workers. And the third focus group is governmental and research institutions who will be interested in the data from the hives. We are reaching our aims by different kinds of partnerships. Big partnerships with beekeeping unions or with big businesses who are environmental responsible, like Sofiyska voda, for example. And when speaking for cooperation with the business, in the spring of 2022, we set up a test apiary on the territory of the water purification plant Pancerevu. And I would like to point out some advantages from our cooperation with Sofiyska voda. And really, I want to encourage all startups to cooperate with stable partners because of the following reasons. First, you get access to mentorship, which is very important, from people in the real business who can build your think tank. You get access to resources. In our case, we got a place where to put our hives. We got marketing support and we got financial support for test equipment. And depending on the product, the employees could be involved as volunteers or as a first target group of customers. For the last 2 years, we managed to get utility model registration and patent is pending. We tried actually several different kinds of hardware and we choose the right one. We go through 2 versions of the software and we built the right one. And now we got around 200 pre-orders from Bulgarian beekeepers who are participating in an EU funding program for innovation in the sector. And we have to deliver this spring, the first systems. Also, we established partnerships with different beekeepers and beekeeping organizations in Europe and not only. But let's see where we stand now.
So at the beginning of 2023, as Peter said, we already have some pre-sales and our aim is to scale to the Bulgarian market. We are expecting to get some investment which will help us build a core team and setting up big-scale production processes. For 2024, our aim is the European market, and an additional investment will help us optimize the processes, the sales, the algorithms, but also build foundations for partnerships. And 2025, we hope that we will be selling on the European market and aiming for USA and China, which are one of the biggest honey producers in the world.
Actually, our passion for the bees brought us together and we complement each other. I am a certified beekeeper instructor since 2012. In 2015, I was one of the co-founders of I Have a Bee Foundation, which is known for encouraging urban beekeeping. My expertise as HVAC engineer actually brought the idea for the hardware solution. And my extensive experience in the international B2B sales brought the idea to make this commercial product. And Peter please present yourself as well.
So I'm a hobby beekeeper, as you might expect, and otherwise, the last years I have been working as AI specialist, leading and developing machine learning solutions and projects in Germany. And yeah, I'm otherwise a theoretical physicist. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. We want to start a beekeeping course together with Veolia this year. So if someone is interested after that, please join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Your idea is actually very dear to me because I have this dream as well. I would like to be a beekeeper myself one day. Not quite sure how I can combine it with startup life though and city life, but looking forward to your progress in the future. The next two pitches will be presented remotely because startup founders are often global entrepreneurs and they have to be in different places at the same time. I would like to have a signal from our colleagues if we have Michael Maznica on the line. Yes, it's all working great. Who is the co-founder and the COO of ChargeX? Michael, can you hear us?
Is it working?
Yes, it is working. I can hear you. I can also see the slides. You might not see us, but it is all working great.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for having me. My name is Michael. I'm one of the founders of ChargeX, and we make modular charging solutions for electric cars. As you all might know, the electric car revolution is accelerating fast. But there is one big thing we have to solve, which is that 90% of the cars will charge where they're standing for a longer period of time. And it means for most people at home or at work. But in those cases, we will have a big problem setting up large-scale charging infrastructure. Because we see all over Europe two very big problems. On the first hand, the electricians are very limited. We have this skilled amount of labor that is reducing year by year because it's just a not very attractive setting for young people to work in. So we have less and less of those electricians each year. And on the second hand, the electricity grid is not keeping up with the demand for the high power of all electric cars charging at the same time. So we're hitting a bottleneck soon that we get all those cars into the market, but those two factors limit the setup of charging infrastructure in the private space. And people will only buy an electric car if they know they can charge either at home or at work, because charging in public space is a big pain. And going back to your private life, what you do if you have multiple devices charging at one place, you buy a multi-socket. And that's the approach we did with ChargeX in 2018. We developed Aqueduct. It's a modular charging for electric car, a modular charging solution for electric cars that allows multiple electric cars to be charged from one power grid. It works like this. You install the start module, the first charger at the first parking lot. If you need a second one, you plug and play at the second to the first, the third to the second, and so on. And you can basically plug and play, build your own charging park for your fleet, for your employees, or if you're a landlord, for your big residential garage. And all the complicated stuff, the load management, etc., who charges at which time is already integrated. And this is how it looks from a more abstract point of view. So you see one power connection, the one start module, and multiple extension modules. And for our customers, we create very nice benefits. First of all, the chargers get 50% more affordable compared to competitor solutions. It's all plug and play and very simple to use, and the whole microgrid is ready to go. And this looks from the backside, so it's all plug and play. Anyone can do it and take 60 seconds compared to 2 hours, 3 hours for a regular charger. But we obviously have to decide who charges at which time. And therefore, we have our Drop Power Sharing app. It's a small smartphone application where the user can prioritize when he needs his car charged. So for example, on Monday, I need 30 kilometers, but on Tuesday I want to make a family trip, I need 100 kilometers, and I can tell that my charging system that I need a priority charge on that day. And also for the operators, the companies that build up the chargers can now decide, I want to give the regular employee just his commuting distance of charge, but my sales guys who have to be on the road all the time and make revenue, they get more kilometers charged into their cars. And the app also allows all the billing relevant stuff that you need to operate and bill energy, you know, energy crisis. Our beachhead market is company charging, B2B, but we also do other private use cases wherever multiple cars have to charge over a longer period of time, such as hotels, residential, etc. And we already have 3,500 chargers in the field, so we are currently a Series A startup looking to raise 10 million in the next financing round in the middle of the year. This is how a typical garage looks like for ChargeX when the operator was a little lazy and just mounted everything on the wall with wire strips. Just wanted to show you, even if the operator is not motivated, it still works. But why are we here today as a German startup? I wanted to share a little about our U-Start journey with Veolia. We were taking part some years ago in the U-Start competition as one of the finalists first, and then went into pilot phase. Back then it was together with the Tuga group because Veolia has a joint venture, and they're called ComDia. And we now have set up the pilots very successfully. So we had a few pilots at different locations, especially one where it went really well. It was like a caretaker service with small cars. And this sub-company of Veolia called ComDia, they are now an active reseller of ours. So that is going into this collaboration is going to a very nice direction. And also 2 business units of Veolia have bought chargers of ours for their locations. So this was a very nice collaboration that came from basically an innovation project we had together. But if you remember one thing from today, ChargeX makes every parking lot a charging space, very easy without hassle. If you need chargers, call me. I'm Michael, one of the founders.
You can't hear the applause, but we thank you very much for your presentation and also for presenting how the collaboration with Veolia has worked so far. We wish you a lot of success in this endeavor, and we would like to keep you, we would like you to keep us updated on the future progress. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
The first startup that is going to present today is also tackling the topic of energy efficiency. He will be joining us online as well. I have assigned that everything is working great. No, it's not going to be Laura. Nicolas, please start your camera and unmute yourself. Great, can you hear me? We can hear you as well. Nicolas Debergh, who is the co-founder and CEO of Thermosphere.
Thank you so much for receiving me, and thank you for this presentation. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Thermosphere. We jump directly into the topic. So what we do at Thermosphere is we focus on energy optimization for commercial buildings with a focus on HVAC, so heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Our purpose is to provide directly and immediately a usable solution for building operators, whether it's technical operators or property managers, that enables them to pilot and in the most optimal way their heating and air conditioning system, which obviously is kind of the big topic of year 2022 and probably the next years to come. So how does it work? What we do at Thermosphere is basically that we directly automate the way heating, ventilation, and air conditioning devices are managed. This is done, therefore, in real time by communicating with the equipment. As you can see here on this presentation, we have On the left, your the current typical commercial building setup with an HVAC system and a building management system that is regulating the boilers, regulating the heat pumps, the chillers, the ventilators. And the way we integrate Thermosphere is very straightforward. It's a plug and play gateway. So it looks like a little router, like an internet router that you plug into the building network. And this gateway will enable us to receive in real time the data from the building. So whether it's equipment data, whether it's temperature, humidity data, and we add to this data weather information, which is of course crucial, whether it's the temperature, but also the cloud coverage or the humidity. And with this input, we are actually, we have developed a technology that enables us to predict what the demand will be in the different parts of the building for heating and for air conditioning. And we will, from that prediction, derive what is the optimal settings or the optimal parameters for each equipment in the building that is contributing to HVAC. Once we have those parameters calculated, we send them directly to the equipment. So we have this live communication. We send commands every 10 minutes to the equipment. So it's quite granular. And we adapt constantly our predictions, but also adjust it with the real data that we receive from the building in life. Of course, the results are here the most interesting. We are able to provide more than 30% energy savings. This is something that is, as I said, plug and play, so we don't need to install hardware or sensors. Everything works with software and the existing building infrastructure. So we've also, of course, worked with Veolia, and I think that's why we're here, and we're very happy with the cooperation. So I wanted to show a bit the results of the pilots that we ran with Veolia in Poland on an office building that was a bit over 20,000 square meters. We launched this pilot last summer and obtained very good results. So it's 300 megawatt hours that we have saved in about 5 months. To give you an idea, 300 megawatt hours is about 30,000 euros that is directly saved from the energy bill. That corresponds to 38% energy savings, which is very substantial. And I think what is really interesting to note here is that this project was done very smoothly. We spent only 3 hours on site just to set up the IT equipment. And altogether, between the launch and the first visible results, it took us about 2 weeks. And we were already above 30% savings after 4 weeks of operation. What we did very concretely on this project is we controlled the chilling system, so the air conditioning, ventilation system with the air handling units, humidity control, and the pumps that circulate the water inside the building. And all that was done in real time via the gateway plugged into the network of the building. Last point, but not least, we had 0 complaints. So actually the comfort was rather better. It's always quite important for us to mention it, but we do not save energy by reducing or increasing the temperature. It's all about delivering the same temperature to the occupants, but producing the hot water or the chilled water in a more efficient way. Which buildings can work with Thermosphere? So we try to be as flexible as possible. As I mentioned, we target for now only commercial buildings, which are relatively large. So we're talking 5,000 square meters or more. It can be for retail, offices, hotels, any kind of building. The building needs to be equipped with a building management system. Once we have a building management system, we're pretty much compatible with everything that exists on the market. Let's say that is less than 20 years old. And finally, all the energy sources are working. So whether it's district heating, gas, electricity, we can work flexibly with any system that is in place for heating or for air conditioning. So a few key facts about Thermosphere to conclude. So we save today on energy on about 400,000 square meters of assets. throughout Europe. We have currently 4 countries where we are active, which are France, Germany, Poland, and the Netherlands. We save on average a bit more than 30%, and it can go up to 45%. We have a very high success rate, above 90%. And a last point that I know can interest a lot of people: we do not require any upfront investments. So our business model is focusing on the savings that we actually deliver to the clients, and we get a remuneration based on those savings. In other words, if it doesn't work, you don't pay anything, and there is no capital expenditure investment to be done at the beginning. It's only a remuneration along the way when the results are there. We work already with key clients in Europe, of course, Veolia, in the field of facility and energy management, also directly with asset owners or property managers such as Udibay, Rodamco Westfield, and Redost in France and Germany. And we also work with SPI in the field of facility management. We have quite a few other buildings now that are coming in the pipeline. So we expect to double the 400,000 square meters in the next 3 months. And yeah, we're also fundraising. So things are going pretty well in the field of energy savings at the moment. And we're very much looking forward to prolonging and strengthening the cooperation with Veolia in Central and Eastern Europe. Thank you very much. You can contact me or any of my team anytime, and we'll be happy to look into any project with you.
Thank you, Nicolas. You can't hear the applause, but that was a very impressive presentation, especially the results. I think this is what counts in the end. And your business model is also very appealing because there is no investment in the beginning for your customers. They just have to test it. Wow, very good. Wish you a lot of success in the future.
Well, I hope the applause turn into phone calls. Very much looking forward to that.
Looking forward to having you in Sofia.
Likewise.
So these were some of the few examples that we could present in successful collaboration between startups and Veolia and Sofiyska voda. We will have now a short break of 10 minutes. I will ask the audience here to be punctual because we have also our audience online. For those who are watching us online, we will be back. Don't go away. In 10 minutes, have a beverage, rest, and see you in 10 minutes. Thank you so much. would suggest that we continue in the second part of our event. We are moving to the second half time. After we heard how startups and corporates can work together, now it's time to debunk some myths about the funding opportunities that early stage startups in the sustainability field have in Bulgaria. And for that purpose, I'm going to invite to the stage VC investors, professional VC investors, but also Manu Moravanov is one of our first speakers. Please come to the stage. Manu is the director of the Bulgarian Stock Exchange and the Beam for Small and Medium Enterprises. He has over 20 years of experience in the fields of finance and investments, the real estate market, the capital markets. He has held management positions in private companies, in institutions, in non-governmental organizations. Manu, welcome to the stage. In the Bulgarian capital and in investment market. You can take the seat here. Manu is also a university lecturer on the topics of electronic exchanges and alternative investments. The second guest, please, yes. Our second guest is Pavel Velkov. Pavel, do you see me? Are you here? Who is the managing partner at Morningside Hill. He has over 15 years of experience in the fields of finance and investments. Before launching Morningside Hill, Pavel has held various investment positions in funds in North America, in Europe and in Africa, covering publicly traded equities, corporate and government bonds, venture capital, private equity, distressed and in special situations, convertible arbitrage. Pavel, welcome. Pavel is also bringing an MBA from the Columbia Business School and a CFA charter holder. Our third speaker is Viktor Manev. Well known, I think, in this audience. He's the co-founder and managing partner at the private equity firm Impetus Capital. He participates in the entire cycle from sourcing investments to exits and specializes in supporting the growth of expansion-oriented companies through investments and operational improvements. Victor has many years of experience as a management consultant. He is also a member of the management board of the Bulgarian Association of Management Consulting Organizations and the Association of Business Intelligence Professionals. Victor has a bachelor degree in finance from the West Virginia Wesleyan College in USA and also comparative studies from Oxford in UK. And last but not least, I would like to invite, thank you. I would like to invite Stoyan Nedin, who is the managing partner at Vitosha Venture Partners. This time I said it right. He's an experienced M&A professional and also venture capitalist. Technology assessment is his specialty and innovation. Stoyan is also a serial entrepreneur himself with a number of tech endeavors such as Nextport, FanStream, and Terrace Capital. He has an executive MBA from the American University in Bulgaria and a bachelor degree in international business and management from the International Business School in Groningen. Now, you provide very different financing tools for not only startups, but also more advanced companies. But in today's discussion, we would like to focus a bit more on those who are operating in the sustainability field and how ESG is becoming now more and more relevant when you make investment decisions. So my first question would be, across the fields that you represent, what types of sustainability solutions are you interested in when investing in what, and also in which specific sectors would you invest? From the funds and In your case, I think it will be a bit slightly different answer, but we will come to that, Manu. Let's start with the early stage. Stoyan.
No, right?
Very early stage.
So as a generalist fund, we are open to basically almost all sectors, and that includes all sectors from the renewable and sustainability fields. I would say that so far we can brag with more than 10 investments that have a very clear sustainability
of how many?
Picture. Of how many more? About 55 so far, and many more on the way to be announced. So some of them are in energy efficiency, others in electric mobility, others in recycling and reusing of already used products. And we have also in waste, so materials, some materials that are basically replacing plastics.
And when we say early stage, would you maybe also for the audience say what stage is that? Because I think there is a lack of transparency. We have now around 15 funds in Bulgaria. Which fund is for what?
It's true that there are so many different stages between these companies, not only in terms of how much funding you're getting, but also how much revenue you have, how much traction you have. So some of the companies that we have invested in have hundreds of thousands of revenues from these ones that I mentioned. For example, we have a electric battery producing factory, which is making hundreds of thousands, and they are making batteries for electronic bikes, like Iconic One, which is also one of our, it's actually our biggest investment. It's for the audience who, if you don't know, it's an electric bicycle company that's really super competitive with great software and so on. We have, for example, Ecopolytech, which is producing plastic replacement for plastic bags, and they are making it from starch, from corn. Basically, from corn you make a degradable plastic-like substance. And this is a very early stage company. They're in an R&D phase, like we can see the prototype, but then the bags that you see are not yet produced with this. So the stages that we invest in are from like 25K to 1 million euro, which is usually from pre-seed, seed and Series A, early Series A.
Pavel, I would say that you might be coming approximately on the next stage. Maybe you try again? Yes, it is working.
Yeah, but let me answer the question in a slightly different way. So I think that going forward, and I mean 5 to 10 years, we'll see, and this goes back to the part about the specific sectors and the specialization of funds within a very narrow or a broad range of sectors. So I think that going forward, there are probably 5 or 6 sectors that I think will be extremely interesting, and they fall straight into this field of the topic of this conference today. And I think that those sectors will be, but not limited to, mostly sustainability, circular economy, I think also green economy, blue economy, and digitalization for sure. And this is very interesting because it means that it will be extremely easy to, let's say, finance companies. I don't want to say extremely easy, but on a relative basis, it will be easier to finance companies in hot sectors. And this will also help them in the following financing rounds, raising additional capital, raising private capital, IPOs and everything else, exits as well. So a good part of the fund's performance comes from the sector in terms of every single investment. If you're in the right sector, it gives you a lot of tailwind that it's really hard to, it gives you a leeway, and it becomes harder for you to mess up. So I think that the sector is very important, and it definitely we can attribute a lot of, a good chunk of the return in a specific investment to the sector where it's so going back to your question, I think that those sectors will be the sectors for the next 5-10 years. I think that we also need to see innovation there because some of those sectors are extremely analog at this point. There is a lot to do, a lot of low-hanging fruit, which will make it very interesting for the capital to follow. And for us as fund managers, we also have to raise capital, which means that we also need to be selling our fund. It'll be easier to sell the fund, it'll be easier to sell the investment, and then it'll be easier to make an exit at some point. So I think that I don't want to, you know, hijack.
And these are also the 5 sectors that you're bullish about with more
Yes,
insight?
at this point,
okay.
yes, definitely. And considering that those sectors are also being pushed by the politicians around the world as well, which means there'll be financing for that, right? I mean, it's a clear message where money will go in the next few years.
Victor, Impetus is investing at a later stage and is jumping also in a different role. Maybe you can shed some light about the sustainability sectors that you're interested in.
Well, that's a good statement. We have investments from the stage of idea up to the capital markets. So basically, as we have a predominantly only private investors behind, our mandate is to invest in innovative and high growth Bulgarian companies or companies from the Bulgarian diaspora, so they can be far and abroad, but they should have a Bulgarian angle. Now, investing we have on the early stage and on later stages, we have very great examples of sustainable solutions. And probably the common denominator there is the innovation and the technology. Now, we have a solution that helps predict the exact demand for retailers and for food chains and to decrease the waste of food, which is generally between 4 to 7% among food retailers. So with such a solution, food chains are able to control it in the limit of 2 to 3% food waste, which basically is a huge decrease of 50% of what is ordinarily within the industry, the food industry, the food supply. And that has started as a startup, so this is very early on. Now, on later stages, we have great examples which are in the technology, IoT, home automation. Alterco, which is a listed company, basically was extremely successful still in Germany, having huge sales on the German market. And when in 2017-18 we were debating why Germans are buying Alterco solutions, we had a simple answer, which we didn't comprehend. And the answer was electricity prices are very high in Germany, and Germans are very sensitive. They want to measure, control, monitor, and basically manage from a distance their homes and their energy consumption. Now, imagine 2017-18, we simply knew it, but we didn't have the feeling and experience it. Now, energy prices have become crazy across Europe. So it goes everywhere, and we're feeling it also in Bulgaria. Now we understand, although we knew it, now we understand what Alterco was doing. Alterco was, this is not exactly to this point, but I'm going to comment it a little bit. Alterco is doing this, helping environmentally and sustainably for the households across the world. They have 2 million households that they empower right now. Now, we even have an even better example, which is a company which is believed to be a rather dirty company because they're running trucks. It's a Discordia. It's a classical trucking company. We've seen the company when they had 40 trucks. Right now they have 1,200 trucks. And they're planning to have 5,000 trucks in the next 4 years in Bulgaria, running across Europe. Now, because it runs on diesel, it's believed across the Union that this is very dirty business. So most of the European Investment Bank money or the Union money, they don't support logistics and trucking business because it's believed that it's dirty because of diesel. Now, Discordia manages its trucks in such a way that they consume 10% below the lowest technical consumption level of the engine. How? Simply they train the drivers how to push the gas on the trucks. Yes, it's simply because it's about the behavior. Should you put more gas when you don't need to put more gas because there is limit on the roads in Europe? So you have to run the gas, simply the truck in a constant way without putting a lot of gas. So Volvo has a special promotional movie that our trucks run at minimum 30 liters per 100 kilometers, but there is one company in Europe, Discordia, that runs at 27 liters on average. It's because they're able to manage the process and to teach the drivers how to drive in the most efficient way. So
can we please introduce this to the Sofia drivers and as part of the driving license, maybe test?
Well, the drivers are getting they're getting some bonus on the saving, so it's part of the. It's follow the money. It's usually you have to do. Yeah. So basically, the drivers are taught in such a way first, and second, part of the saving of the fuel consumption is given as a bonus to the driver. So this is in their mind. If I drive in a sustainable way, an energy saving way, I'm going to get some bonus. So it's a long story. Now, this is very important. So we invest in innovation and basically where is the sustainability and the environmental. I think that any innovation today in technology helps greatly reduce costs and expenses. So in such a way, investments in technology and innovation most probably is a sustainable investment. Now you have to run it through your filters and to see whether this applies to any policy and the standard, but innovation and technology usually cut costs, and most of the time costs are associated with energy consumption on human time.
Okay, so by investing in innovation, you would say that it's already most probably sustainable investment?
Most of the times.
Okay. Okay. To you, Manu, I will try to reverse the questions because you basically enable funding opportunities through the Bulgarian Stock Exchange, but how relevant is sustainability now for the investors who invest on the Bulgarian Stock Exchange? Is it a topic that has already arrived in their mindset?
Of course it is arrived. The Bulgarian Stock Exchange is listed company, so we have a lot of investors and we need to be sustainable also. The main question is what is really to be sustainable, and if the company knows that or not, how they measure it, which measurement they use, and also the investors here. One is clear. Sustainability is an opportunity, especially for startups, because they have this advantage to be born sustainable, comparing to the old companies that need to spend a lot of money for their transformation. So for startups, one is clear. If you are not born sustainable nowadays, you cannot survive. This is clear. Okay. And what I've been seeing is that most of the startups that I have been looking the last couple of years are really sustainable companies. And we saw this in the last panels also. So Bulgarian Stock Exchange is working together with its partners and market players how to help Bulgarian companies to know exactly what is expected from there to do, how to make this transformation. And we're trying to help them.
Excuse me, what kind of sustainability are we talking about? I think I don't understand.
What kind of sustainability? Yes, we're talking about ESG. ESG. And yes. What is ESG? There are some rumors that a company owner said, until we understand everything regarding ESG and read everything, thousands of pages, new standards, they're developing faster than startup companies. They're developing so fast. So until we're waiting this, the earth will burn. This is the rumor. So yes, let's say what we are doing. We have 3 lines, 3 initiatives. The first one is exactly how to help Bulgarian companies to understand what exactly is ESG and sustainability. And this initiative's name is Green Finance and Energy Center, which is the first think tank in Bulgaria working on the topics of ESG, creating policies, and so far we have more than 40 participants in this center. We name it Green Center. Even I'm very happy that Veolia is part of this Green Center also. And also a lot of, one of the biggest Bulgarian businesses, listed companies, universities, Big Fours, and other consulting companies. And this center has a lot of initiatives, but several months ago, we've adopted the first Bulgarian ESG guidelines, not only for listed companies, but for every company which wants to be sustainable. So these guidelines are quite clear. They also have an example how you could measure your sustainability. And this is our first line. The second line is a special tool which was developed by a subsidiary of Bulgarian Stock Exchange. The name of this tool is Oxygen. We name it also OGI. And this tool is helping Bulgarian companies to measure their ESG and to measure their footprint, Scope 1 and Scope 2, and also to create quite fast and, let's say, standardized. It is not something, how to say, on very high level, but let's say on the average level, it is the basic that every company needs to do. And it could use Oxygen for ESG reporting. Okay. Most of the companies will be obliged to do this in the near future. So far it is not an obligation according to the legislation, but most of investors nowadays ask companies to be sustainable and to disclose how exactly are they sustainable. So they could use this tool, Oxygen, for doing that. And last but not least, Bulgarian Stock Exchange, together with its partner Refinitiv, it is an international company which bought Reuters financial business several years ago, and it is part of London Stock Exchange Group. So together with this company, we are going to measure the ESG of Bulgarian companies. So we're going to create ESG rating. We will use their methodology for that, and also we will introduce the first ESG index for listed companies in Bulgaria.
Thank you for shedding some light on these 3 initiatives. They're quite interesting and very much in tune also with, I guess, what the regulators and institutional investors expect. And because you mentioned that the ESG criteria that you have developed are also very helpful to investors, I would like to include the venture capitalists here. How do you integrate ESG in your decision-making process? Now that we have mentioned what kind of sustainability are we talking about? Pavel, maybe you would like to start?
Yeah, sure. I want to mention that this initiative is being pushed to us investors as well, from our investors and from the regulators. So there is no way around it. And I think that it's very taxing on the startups to ask them to do additional, let's say, administrative work when they have limited capacity in their teams to barely develop what they need to do. But it's happening. So we'll have to do it, and the startups will have to do it. And I think that there are services like Oxygen, like Manu mentioned, and others that we're going to be using eventually because it becomes reality. So I have a special opinion about that because I don't see how we can ask a startup of 2 people to become ESG, let's say, compliant, or let's say have a high ESG rating. And it doesn't make any sense to enforce this on startups, to be honest. That's my opinion. But it's happening, so we have no choice.
But because you say that it's happening, do you think that it might be happening on the level as, every company needs an accountant in a way?
No, but what is ESG? It's environmental.
Yeah.
So we have to rate them. I don't know how to rate a startup with 2 people on the environmental issue. Then we have the social. What is the social? Like, these 2 people, are they contributing to society? Are they, if there are 2 males, there is no diversity. If there are 2 females, there's no diversity. And, let's say.
I get your point, yes. Yeah. These are some good questions. We don't need to have the answers, although
I could add something.
But maybe we should...
I am not very agree with you, because yes, you are right in general, but one person could be ESG sustainable, because this is here in your mind. So if for instance, and I see this in all young people, especially the last generation, they're not like me. They don't want to, how to say, they want to be net zero. This is in their understanding and how they want to live. So if you are like this, if you are social, that means that you are not thinking only to doing business and to earn money, but also to help your society or just your circle, to help your friends to be more happy. So you're not only thinking about business, but only about the society.
The impact you have on society.
This is how you could be ESG.
I usually say that the most interesting panels are when panelists don't necessarily agree with each other, but I would like to collect some other...
No, actually, this is the big debate.
Obviously.
I think I will stay on the Pavel's side at this moment, saying that it's almost impossible to judge in the future how this will basically project on both environmental and social, because yeah, you may be thinking in good terms. Facebook, probably in the beginning they were thinking in good terms, but are they good for the society? The way they spin the minds of the people right now? Is it socially responsible, Facebook? That's a big question today, when it is a really huge, monstrous big company. Now, on a startup level, I think that this is the big question, how you measure it. It's almost, yeah, you can measure it, but it's almost irrelevant up to the point, to the company that shows what it will be its future, how it will develop, future projections of how it will grow and change the sector, industry, people. And it's very difficult. It's almost impossible to put stringent ESG requirements and regulation on the startup scene, Now, we have few companies that have understanding, but it's because of the people being deep into the industry. I think that here we have a person from StoryData, and StoryData basically know that because they're going to do it in a great way, to help huge corporations do the reporting, we have the understanding of this team, how much energy saving they do for the servers, instead of using the existing technology of doing the paperwork and doing the reports internally for major banks, institutions, etc. But this is with very deep understanding, being 20 years in the industry. So young people with limited knowledge within industries, etc., probably it's very hard to assess. Now, when we invested in green innovation that is using hydrogen, it's obvious. I mean, like, it's no-brainer to speak that they're environmentally safe, that they're helping the society, it's going to be more clean world, etc. So it's quite difficult for startups to implement the regulation. It's going to be a regulation, we're going to basically apply it. Most probably we're going to use third parties that are going to do certain assessment to be compliant with the regulators. The local financial authority asked us this week if I'm not mistaken, how do you apply the policies, ESG policies?
I think we're getting a bit too technical also for our audience, because I think this is something...
This is the problem. I mean, being technical, we have to invest, and at the same time, we have the burden to do this. So this is very important. We have the burden to follow such rules for very small companies, and probably it's quite difficult for you on a very young company to say what is the ESG impact.
This is why I would like to include now Stian also in the discussion. How do you deal with this obviously much debated topic in the very early stage, where you have quite often two founders and one of them is, I don't know, sustainable, the other one maybe not, as we heard.
Indeed, it's a topic that can take a lot of jokes, and rightly so, but I think as any European regulations that want to be implemented on a large scale, and it starts from the top and aims to go to the bottom, and it's like similar rules are designed but to be applied to large corporations with thousands of employees, and the same rules should be applied to startups. Of course, now it's how we adapt these regulations, basically monitoring of these ESG policies. And we have to see that for startups, just like Victor indicated, we are used to looking at the future impact. So we are not focused on judging whether these two employees are using plastic coffee containers or not, but we are looking at their business plan, and if everything that they are dreaming for happens, what will be the impact on carbon emissions, on education, on waste, on clean water, poverty, and all these ESG categories. So we are really focused on the future, and particularly we are, as far as our investment decision is concerned, we are super happy to, of course, still guided by ROI and, of course, ability to exit the company and all the usual investment perspectives. But we are super happy to evaluate the impact that's not easily described monetarily. So how do you value, in terms of money, the value that you give to educating a minority child, for example, or what is the value of a tree planted in the middle of the city for all of us to enjoy it and to improve our ecosystem. So even though we're trying to put the money, let's say, criteria on ESG as well, such as carbon emission pricing and not wasted energy or energy efficiencies. There are so many environmental and social impacts that we as investors are super happy to support, and this is definitely has a positive, very clear positive impact on our decision making. But even a stronger impact would have if you are not compliant. Basically, if you have negative social impact or negative environmental impact. So I would say that the investment decision is even more strongly affected, not just by the positives, but if you are not good to society, to your employees, to the environment, to energy efficiency, you just cannot, you're not prestigious enough to be put on a portfolio of a VC fund that respect themselves.
So if we put aside, because we're almost out of time, actually we are out of time, so if we put aside the technical challenges of actually applying the ESG criteria in the investment decisions, that's something that obviously still needs to be debated, and we look at the solutions that are actually necessary for us to face the environmental and societal challenges that our world needs to solve today. My last question would be exactly that. What kind of solution would you like to see, maybe coming from Bulgaria or the region that you're investing in, that is addressing such a environmental or societal challenge on a global scale? Obviously, there will be enough funding opportunities, so we're not looking now for the businesses.
Solution as a project or as an investment idea, or a provider, a service provider to help us in this direction? What do
An
you mean?
investment, a solution that you would like to invest in.
A sustainable one for a start, I would
That's
say.
obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's obvious, but at the end there will be a big discrepancy between how financially sustainable are all these startups and the startups that receive investments from all these future funds that are coming in this direction from EU. And so obviously big desire to have this money invested, but not just in Bulgaria, not just in Europe, but worldwide, where it's very difficult to find good business models that are self-sustainable, that are not relying on subsidies, because we don't want to invest in something that would just take VC money and in 3 years it will depend on the next VC money that are just directed towards
green and sexy.
Green money and then government subsidies. This is not the way we like to invest. So it's really looking, I would say that we should be looking for the right business models and not just to invent the business models, but really look at the few business models that work around the world and even copy them here, because when it's about the environment, it's not just about you inventing something, but getting the best practices around the world and bringing them here and making businesses around this here.
Pavel or Victor?
Well, I mean, like if they put the graph that initially was put as a slide, yeah. 7 of our 14 investments do have definitely some environmental and social, definitely environmental. So, I mean, like, if you start from 2018 and if you just look at what the blue line, the pension funds, like these are the pension funds in Bulgaria, what they have done. They follow strong ESG. And up there is what we have done as a return. I think that no matter with the strong ESG policies that the Bulgarian pension funds are following, they're making close to zero return. Yes, they have regulation the way they have to invest, but they follow strong ESG requirements. We don't follow strong ESG requirements. Half of our companies are definitely very supportive on the environment, definitely for the society if you're doing something great. And we're doing a little bit, not a little bit, much more better than strong policies. Now, this is very important. What is the future company? As I said, most of the times innovation and technology means that we're going to help businesses and people in a new way, most probably saving time, energy, saving money, but money is time and energy, which basically is a sustainable way of living. If we spend less energy to do the things we do today, we're going to be sustainable.
I'll have to interrupt you, and I'll just make an observation, and we will continue now with our program because we have to be very strict with our timing. I was visiting different events in Europe, ESG was one of the top topics in all the panel discussions amongst VCs. In the last BVCA event, no one spoke about ESG, almost. But now you do it here. So I think let's maybe wrap up the discussion, because I think this is a bit too insider topic for our audience. We wanted to share about the funding opportunities that are out there, and obviously there is some discussion that needs to be done about the regulations and how they are going to be applied. But let's do it in a different setting, in the networking session. Would you agree? Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for being such a strict moderator. Still, thank you. And also from everyone in the audience who would like to tap a bit more in depth into the topic, please make use of our speakers. They're going to be hopefully around in the networking session, and we can learn also a bit more about how these ESG policies obviously need to be rediscussed so that they apply in a meaningful and business way. In our next session, I hope that we'll have inspiration for you. We have the final 3 startup pitches of companies who have successfully worked so far with Sofiyska voda and also with Veolia. I would like to invite to the stage Biljana Nikolova, the founder of SatGeo. Please. Thank you so much. Biljana, here you have a mic, and the clicker is also yours. You have to direct it contra-intuitively on the other side. Yes. The computer is there.
Thank you very much.
The stage is yours.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to share with you how our startup evolved with the support of Sofia Water, part of Veolia. SatGeo was founded with the idea and the mission, where? Okay, thanks. SatGeo was founded with the mission to reduce water losses worldwide, because 4 billion people already live in water-scarce areas, while at the same time, utilities around the world lose 25 to 50% of all distributed water, causing financial losses of about 8 billion euro each year. In our country, the problem is even bigger, because Bulgaria is the leader in, what's going on? I'm sorry, it's not working. So. Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. Now there's next slide, please. And the next one. So in Bulgaria, the problem is even bigger. Our country is the leader in the European Union in water losses. Utilities incur on average 60% of water losses. At some places in Bulgaria, water losses reach even up to 85%. Now imagine 85% of the water distributed being lost, while at some places around the world, some people do not have even access to safe water. Fortunately, we can help with this problem. We found a solution. Next slide, please. We found a solution using satellite images to detect these undetected leaks, because sometimes these leaks can remain undetected for years, as we've seen here in Bulgaria already. What we do is we find these leaks and provide it as a service to Sofia Water. Next slide, please. we use GIS software, perform image processing and analysis to detect potential water leaks and send them to Sofia Water for verification. We work in a close collaboration with the teams from Sofia Water. Next slide, please. Each month, we submit a report with potential leak locations, and together, we verify these leaks with the teams of Sofia Water. Next slide. But let me tell you a little bit about how everything this started. In June 2021, we won the Innovation Starter Accelerator and received technical support from Sofia Water. In just a few months, in 2 months, we managed to validate our technology. And in the beginning of 2022, Sofia Water offered us a long-term contract, and now we work as partners already. Next slide. The synergy between the startup, our startup, and Sofia Water is great, and the results speak for themselves. So far, we have found about 50 water leaks that were difficult to detect. Some of these leaks reached up to 20 liters per second, and the total impact of the whole solution is that we saved about 1.55 million cubic meters of water. Now imagine that this is, for example, the water used by Samukov and Ihtiman for the whole year. So, to summarize what we do, next slide please. What we do is we make a real impact, a measurable impact. We make a difference. We make a difference to Sofia Water. We make a difference to our country, and we make a difference to the planet as a whole. Thank you.
Bilena, thank you. Thank you also for showing the results of this collaboration. This is what I find actually inspiring. The next pitch will be by Anton Petrov, who will be joining us again online. And he's the co-founder and the CTO of Gridmetrics. What is their project all about? We'll learn directly from him. I'm gonna need a sign that the connection is working well.
Hello?
I'm sorry, this...
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What I'm not sure about, why was it decarbonizer? Good. So, Anton, welcome. We can see you. We can also hear you.
Thanks everyone. I'm going to present our solution and what we did with Sofiyska voda.
We also see your slides. The stage is yours.
Okay, so what Gridmetrics is all about is we try to build a no-code platform that allows for a regular person to generate an advanced process control algorithm. So what is a advanced process control algorithm? Well, simply put, traditionally how we control industrial processes is we have a sensor, we have a controller, and we have some actuator. If, for instance, we have a water tank which we want to keep at a certain water level, the PID controller would intervene when the water sensor tells us that the level is below a given set point, and then the controller would turn on a pump which will fill the tank back up to a level. Now that's how traditionally industrial assets were controlled. The problem with this is, of course, that you may have different objectives that you wish to achieve. Not only maintain a certain set point, but you might also want to use as little energy as possible. You might want to reduce your emissions, and you might also want to take in multiple variables in order to make your decisions, such as the current price of electricity. The problem with the traditional approach is that the traditional algorithms allow us only to monitor one variable and to control a single variable, which is not very useful. So then you need advanced process control or more intelligent algorithms which allow you to take in more information and to achieve multiple objectives at the same time. The problem with such algorithms is that usually you need to first understand the physics, chemistry, and everything else that's going on inside that industrial process. And you also need to have the coding skills needed and also the mathematical knowledge to actually devise the algorithm and implement it. So what our solution offers is a simple three-step process that removes all the coding, all of the additional knowledge that's needed to actually generate these algorithms. We offer a simple drag and drop interface where the user drags individual boxes. Each box contains the physics and chemistry of that given process. So if you have a pumping station, you drag a pump and a tank, you'd connect them together, and that's your digital twin, which already simulates all of the physics associated with pumping water into that tank. Then you hit the optimize button, which asks you what your goals are. So if you want to reduce your energy usage and to maintain a level, you select these, and then our algorithm uses the digital twin to generate hundreds of years worth of training data, which is used to generate a control algorithm which will achieve all of the preset goals, and then gives you a summary, and you decide on whether to actually deploy the algorithm to the control system that you have, to your SCADA system, or if you wish, you can rerun the algorithm and build a better version. The system doesn't only offer optimization algorithms, but it also can be used for simulations. So, for instance, if you want to see what will happen if you replace your pumps with more energy efficient pumps, will they provide enough water for your customers? You can test that out using the digital twin. So how did our product help Sofiyska voda? Well, they came to us with this exact problem. They had a pumping station that they wanted to reduce the energy consumption of it, but without actually impacting their customers. So what we did was we built a digital twin of that pumping station, and we applied our optimization algorithm, which came up with the most optimal control strategy, which took into account things like water demand, energy price, and other factors to basically reduce the energy consumption of that pumping station by 30%. And we also managed to reduce the price of the energy that's being purchased by the algorithm by an additional 12%. Aside from Sofiyska voda, we've also worked with one of Whirlpool's factories in Italy, where they wanted to use a better algorithm to control one of their enameling furnaces. The algorithm that our platform managed to generate for them saved them 22% of their yearly gas usage and also 7% of their electricity. They also used our platform to simulate their furnace to see what will happen if they replace their air burners with oxy-fuel burners. And that simulation helped them save an additional 70% of their gas usage per year. Our platform was also used by a sugar mill in Nicaragua to help improve their production yield. So we increased their sugar output by an additional 3% per year. As I've said, our platform uses physics-based twins. It can be used in every single possible manufacturing process. Currently, we've tested with mills, oil presses, furnaces, pumping stations, and irrigation systems. But we're also trying to expand into wastewater treatment, plastics, and fertilizers as well. We're currently a small company of that's slightly over 4 years old. We've worked on multiple projects, and I'm the CTO and leading AI architect, and Božidar as our CEO and product manager. We also have 2 more staff members, and we're currently, as I said, working on expanding into different new industries which can benefit from our technology.
Thank you. Anton, thank you for your presentation. These were some impressive results, especially that you're such a small team of 2 people. I'm sorry that you're not here because I would have some questions. It was a bit complex, at least for me. I hope not so much maybe for the audience, to clarify how you do what you do. It seems very complex and very complicated, but I congratulate you for your achievement so far.
It is a very complex problem. That's why we built the platform to make it more simple for average engineers, because if you currently want to improve the way you control your processes, you usually have to call in an external advisor, which will charge you a lot, and not every company can afford that. So we wanted to liberalize the process of optimizing industrial assets.
Thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you.
Our last presenter of today is the co-founder of Decarbonizer. He will have to join us, unfortunately, also online.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Oh, okay. So maybe you can both introduce yourselves, because I don't know who is Kalin.
Hi, I'm Kalin, and next to me is Mikhail.
My name is Mikhail. So nice to meet everybody.
Great. So you have 5 minutes for a short presentation to our audience.
Yeah, thank you.
And also you can share a bit more about your collaboration with Sofiyska voda.
For sure. Okay, thank you once again for the invitation. Thank you for the interest in this presentation, of course, in the interest for the whole event. Okay, we have focused our effort on tackling the problem with the large amount of harmful gases from the internal combustion engines in the environment. The problem is global and affects all the industries. Business is squeezed from one side from the more and more stringent ecological norms, and from the other side from the limitations of the new development of new technologies and new fuels. And that pushes the business owners to rely on the conventional fuels. Obviously, and we see the conventional fuel engines will be part of our future. And all the present technologies for reducing their emissions are connected with huge investments, with long significant changes in the machines and the engines, and long downtime of the equipment. And would any company want this? We don't think so. We are sure that the business needs much more efficient solutions which are available now.
We knew that we must develop a product that will get a better value for our customers and will motivate them to join the climate action now. We call it a decarbonizer. This is a system of electrolyzers which produces oxyhydrogen gas, which is installed next to the combustion chamber. The system produces the gas, which is directed to the air intake systems and participates in the combustion process. As an additional energy source, the gas improves and raises the efficiency of the process, and as a result, we have much less emissions.
Together with the lower emissions, our product, the Decarbonizer, has the following value propositions for our customers. It is easy to be integrated in all the present technologies. It is cost effective for the customer due to the lower service cost of the engine or the machine when they work with the Decarbonizer. And last but not least, our client will receive an investment return due to the lower fuel consumption of the engine. And we are sure that in the future, the Decarbonizer will help our customers to monetize their carbon savings too.
We are developing 3 types of products. The first one is the Decarbonizer for bus and trucks, and it's with purpose to be installed permanently on the vehicle, and as a result, the customers will get much less emissions and, of course, optimize fuel consumption. The second one is a fast service for the cars. It's called the Decarbonizing Carbon Cleaning Machine. It's a service which will be without dismantling or installation, and it will be helping to preserving, blocking expensive parts from the cars. The third one is decarbonizing ship. It's a custom-made set depending on the engine size of the vessel, and it will be installed in the engine compartment. The benefits here is mostly for the lower emissions to help the owners to meet the requirements of the international organizations, and of course less fuel consumption.
The customers and users for our product will be the different types of transport and the industry. As you see, when measured by the number of vehicles and vessels, the potential market is really huge. The available markets are also big enough. The service attainable market is almost reaching 32 million euro, which will give us the best chance to develop in the next years. We aim first the Bulgarian market, which will give us a fast feedback on the product, and this data will allow us to enter precisely on the bigger markets like Europe. And we plan to put a special focus on the marine and ship industry. Our revenue model has three main streams. The first one, of course, this is the production and sale of the decarbonizer. Service subscription and installation services will form the second one, and we plan to gain additional revenues by selling service parts and consumables.
After first sales of our decarbonizer birth to the Dolgopol municipality, here our main task for the next 2 years. Till the June of this year, we plan to the production of our first decarbonizer carbon cleaning machine, and of course for the sales of decarbonizer bus and truck. In the second half of the year, we plan to install our first MVP for ship, and we have negotiations with a fishing company in Varna, Electa. And of course, for next years, we plan to grow our productions and sales of decarbonizers.
And we are tracking our achievements. We are working with, we are inspiring, and of course, we are getting inspired by the new generation of engineers in the Technical University of Varna here. Of course, with the aim, we want to involve them in our project. Till the moment, our project has been rewarded by Foundation Caro Knowledge and Foundation Tsorkov as winners of one of their competitions. And last year, we were rewarded also by Innovation Starter, where Veolia was part of the whole event behind the organization.
We want to reach our goals faster, and that's why we're looking to raise an investment of 466,000 euros. And as you may see on the graph, 75% of the budget will be for operation and production costs, new hires, and this will allow us to get better position in the market and to let us successfully sell high quality products. Of course, we plan to continue invest in innovations, and because we know that the business need them, of course, this won't be able and will be without the support of companies like Veolia, who believe that this is the right way to make an idea to the product in a short time.
And once again, to present you our team, which is the perfect combination of the technology dream and my partner next to me here, Mr. Mikhail Simov. I am Kalin Nikolov, the business realist in the team, and we are working with the scientific support of Associated Professor Mike Strebau from the Technical University of Varna.
We know that this is the right moment for our product entry, and we are looking for the support of investors for our mission for low emissions. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mishu, Kalin, thank you also for your presentation. We wish you a lot of success. Maybe you didn't hear the applause, but we're impressed by your idea, and let's see how it develops in the future. So here we see yet another example of how a successful collaboration between a young company like Decarbonizer and an established corporation like Veolia can function. And before we jump into the networking part of our event, I would like to invite Lubomir Filipov to the stage for some closing remarks, Director of Strategic Partnerships and Projects at Sofiyska voda, but also the driving force for collaboration with startups. We have been talking about the topic for years now, and I know that it's very dear to him.
Hello, everyone. Please grab a glass of wine because it's gonna be like a wedding speech, I guess. And that's why I'm gonna use my notes. Actually, during the whole day, during the whole event, I was thinking to compare with what the startups in order to make very clear, let's say, parallel and to explain the essence of the formation and the development of the startups. And I reached the conclusion that the best comparison which I could make is to compare the startups with the love. The love between a man and a woman. Or of course there are any combinations as well, but this is another story. So, what I mean. Eric Rice, you know Eric Rice, who is the author of many bestsellers regarding startups, he's saying, or he's defining the startup as a venture whose goal is to create new services or products under condition of extreme uncertainty. Actually, in our real life, when we start a new relationship, it's again under condition of extreme uncertainty. In the both cases, we are motivated, we are highly inspired, we are with great beliefs for the future. However, what the statistic is saying? The statistic is saying that, for example, study from 2019 shows that 9 out of 10 startups fail. 7 startups backed by venture capital funds fail again as well, not again, as well. So the dropout rate of the startups is between 75 and 90%. Another study from the Stanford Department of Psychology from the same year is showing that, for example, 70% of the new relationships fail within the first year. So the dropout rate is pretty much the same in both cases. Actually, why the startups fail? They fail because of 3 main reasons. The first reason is that there is no market need or market interest for the product. The second reason is that these startups are running out of cash. And the third reason is because there is not a proper team in place. In my view, the role of the corporates, because you were talking about corporates for a few minutes, is exactly to deal with that first problem. Actually, the corporates can deal with that problem through validation of the market interests of the products which are created by these startups, and also to technically validate these solutions. Obviously, the roles of the VCs is related with the provision of financing and also for fine-tuning the business model of these startups. When we get to the third main reason, putting the right people in place, actually this is the main, I would say, problem, and this is the hardest problem to be solved regarding startups. Here, the leading role definitely is not within the corporates, not within the VCs, but the leading role here should stay within the co-founders, and they have to find the solution. So it's like the usual relationships. You could discuss your relationships and analyze it and share it with your friends, with your families, even with the fools, the 3 Fs, but still you have to take care of that. So putting the right people on the right place all the time takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Entrepreneurship is a kind of management, we know this. Relationships are kind of management as well. So if you have found the right co-founder, or if you have found the right partner, please take care of it. Yes, maybe at some point of time you will be you have doubts whether that's the best team, whether these people are the best people, but still don't allow yourself to be fooled or to be distracted by, let's say, bad moods or too many negative emotions. So stay focused. In this situation, for me, the things we need is trust. Trust that you could rely on your co-founder or rely on your partner, and that together you can be a dream team which could perform. At the end of these closing remarks, I would like to wish to all of you to believe in your ventures, to give time, enough time to your ventures. Be patient, take care of the ventures, especially when you have seen that these ventures could work well and also even outperform. There are always downturns down the way, but it's up to us to overcome these downturns through our strength, to our emotional intelligence, and at the end of the trip, to utilize the potential we have. This is what I wanted to say. I would like to wish you a nice evening. There are not so many people here, but there will be a lot of wine for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Livo. That's also all from my side. I hope that each of you has found something to think about and also to talk about now in the networking session. We will be also, with our team here, we would be happy to meet you in person, and we will be happy also to tap in all those topics that maybe we didn't cover, which are related to sustainable venturing in our region. I wish you a good night, and looking forward to see you again.